Alright, another Xbox to put together. This one, like pretty much all the other ones I've done recently, have tested just fine, but just needed a cleaning. Oh, this was from the electronics recycler. This is the one that is perfectly functional. It just needed a hard drive, but it was also missing a ton of pieces. So let me give the motherboard a quick once over, see if there's anything I missed. I just sort of brushed off all the dust, vacuumed it up as I went. Nothing too crazy. Now, a lot of this stuff that's back here, I actually have no idea what that is. But I've seen it on pretty much every console. I don't know if it's like flux residue or like it doesn't strike me as like liquid damage or anything that's concerning. It's just sort of this odd white residue. But the shapes that it's in strongly suggests that that's how it looked from the factory. I've seen it on pretty much every motherboard. And despite my efforts to try and clean it off, it never comes off. So I don't know what it is, but it's kind of gnarly stuff. I mean, I could try and get some of like the bigger stuff, but a lot of the very light marks just stay there forever, essentially. No matter how much scrubbing I do with rubbing alcohol. Like, could I go as far as like putting acetone on it to try and get rid of it? I mean, that's a bit crazy for something you never see. Yeah, but even as I rub it back, as soon as the rubbing alcohol dries, it just comes back. So I've just opted to kind of ignore it. So I've tried cleaning them in the past. I've tried very hard cleaning them in the past, but just nothing comes of it. Speaking of, I'll grab some more rubbing alcohol. Just have it at the ready, just in case. My big container is running low, so it's hard to syringe up. There we go. Alright, with that being said, let me get some thermal paste on the APU. Get this thing closed back together. I need to look up a picture. I'm not going to... It's not something I want to guess at. I just need to know where the X clamp is going to be pointed. Because there's sort of... I want to just put it back in the position it was in when I first took this out. Alright. And I should have enough thermal paste for these two consoles. I might not be so lucky after that. I mean, I have... That's quite a bit, actually. But by the time I get done with all these Xbox consoles, I'm going to be critically low. I mean, I think I have 4 more Xboxes to go. 2 more are going to be bog standard. And then 2 after that are going to be a little more interesting. I think I have 3 more after that, but one of them I might have to... I don't have a shell for. Or I probably have to compromise with a really damaged shell. I might be able to make it work. I'll just see. So the little oval in the X clamp is pointed towards the numbers. Now the oval in the X clamp is that little piece right there. I just like making sure I put everything back the way it was intended. I don't know if this is perfectly square, because if it's just even slightly rectangular, then rotating at 90 degrees would be incompatible. Give the bottom shell a look-see. Looks like it cleaned up very nicely. I'm missing a piece. The metal shielding, which also cleaned up very nicely. And the fact that this console was missing pieces is sort of creating ripple effects throughout my entire stock, so now I'm not able to make an entire console. Either it'll just be spare parts or it'll be a junk bin. Because I do have a shell that's damaged. I think it was dropped or something. Just chipped off a portion. Okay. Actually, don't. I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself here. I need to put in the X-clamp screws and the 4B screws. If anything, it's good to just sort of inspect the pieces that I'm going to be putting in. Let me get my bits ready. So T8. Now the glossy top shell on this console was damaged quite a bit. Or it had very inconsistent damage, so I did do a sanding and polishing pass on it. And I'm not going to pretend it looks great. But what it does do is make it look uniform in its badness, I suppose. And that in itself makes it look a lot better. But I don't think I have the means in which to make it like perfectly glossy like it was at stock, unless I like really spent time and like, I don't know, clear coated it maybe, or like hit it with turtle wax or something. Automotive grade stuff. And that's a lot of additional resources I don't really want to spend just to make something look superficially better. Because there's just at some point you'll never make it perfect, and there's just it'll just be a diminishing returns, where you're just spending more and more money on, and more time on compounds and tools, just to make it look slightly better when it almost doesn't matter. Right, all the B screws and the X-clamp are in. I didn't check the ports, but they look good. That means I can get everything plopped in. Let me grab my hard drive. Do I have hard... Oh no, I didn't have hard drive screws for this. Or I already took them out. I think these were these. Or maybe they were just additional hard drive screws. Because I think this one was also missing the hard drive caddy. So again, just having to put parts... or take parts from another console. I kind of hope... I hope I didn't... I really didn't want to do that, but... At the prices I was getting these things at, I guess it's not too outrageous to expect that to happen. Thermal paste on my finger. I don't like that. I don't like getting that stuff everywhere if I can resist it. Or if I can help it. Good old 500 gigabyte Seagate. Get the rest of these little pieces in. There's these like through-hole stud pieces. I think they're more like guides to, so the studs can go through these, through the console just fine without scratching up the motherboard. This one doesn't clip in, it gets to be special. I wonder why they decided to do this one where I needed to actually screw it in. Seems a little unnecessary, but maybe this impacts like how the shell fits together or something. Get the hard drive, or get the disk drive in its little holder. Plop that in. And it's just amazing how much free space they left in this console. Like, I mean, this entire void back here behind the disk drive is just completely empty. Like, they really didn't need this much. And then this much space, this much space, this much space. It's just a lot of wasted space. It's an odd decision for sure. Now I can drop this thing in the metal shielding, or in the plastic. I am pretty much ready to test. Get the front panel on. I do make it somewhat more difficult for me doing it. Putting the little front panel PCB on right now. Since some of these screws I can't necessarily reach very well. Oh, why am I screwing in right there? Sit here thinking something's not right. Okay. Think I'm good enough to test. Let me grab the speaker and the little Wi-Fi card. We'll see if the thing still turns on. Hope so. Ooh, I did not plug in the front panel. Won't be able to press a power button without it. Alright. Batteries the power. Fan sort of spinning like that is a good sign. Alright, power. Plug in the controller. Get my monitor on. Actually, I could probably turn on my capture card feed and I'll see it before. Oh, do I not have a splash screen? This could have been a hard drive I replaced. Well, I did add a hard drive, so I'm guessing no splash screen. We'll just see if it goes to my profile selection. And then I'll make a note of it that I need to add the splash screen. I'll have to do that for a few consoles. Ah, cold boot. Yep, it just goes straight into profile selection. Okay, I'll have to, let me make note of that so I don't forget. Xbox One, Xbox One, this was the 132, correct? 1323. Shell serial number. New boot animations. Okay, I've already noted that it does not have a boot animation. Perfect. Let me sign in, and then I'll feed it a game. Go to My Games and Apps. I have my capture card footage blanked out because the Xbox menu has no qualms showing my email address and my name. Alright, I'm back on Manage Queue. I have Ghost Recon Wildlands. Sounds good. There it is. I think kind of like... I'm still trying to devise a way to really test these disk drives in sort of the short term, so I'm not just sitting here waiting for game installs. So I was going to watch and see if it's going to prompt me to do an online update, which I will say nay. I'll sit here and let it do a gig of disk install, which won't take that long once it resumes. And, I mean, this isn't really a good definitive proof. I had a disk drive with a weak laser that would install some games all the way through just fine. It wouldn't install some games, and there are other games it wouldn't even recognize. It wouldn't be able to read the metadata on. So, I can only really theorize that some of these disks are just layered differently. I would assume it's sort of like standard practice to have the metadata in the same spot on every disk, but maybe they're just at different layers. I'm not going to pretend to understand that, but for that laser not to read the metadata on some disks, but the metadata on others is a little confusing. There, it did a gig. I say that's good enough to at least say that the disk drive is at least somewhat competent. Whether or not it's good or not, I'll have to determine later with more tests. But as far as I can tell, the Xbox is at least baseline functional. Get it turned off, and I'll get this thing put fully back together. Really all I have to do is attach the little extension piece for the Wi-Fi card onto the metal housing, and I'll basically be done. I'll just disconnect this. The speaker attached. And the metal, or the little extension piece. I'm also going to have to crimp those tabs on for the antenna. Screws for later. Get the wire crimped back on. I'm just going to plug this in just to keep it in place. And there's these little metal tabs that go through this metal shielding piece. Crimp the wire on. Alright, there we go. Not forgetting anything else, so let's get this thing plugged back together and get the main studs in. Disconnect that. Antenna plugged in. Speaker plugged in. Studs. Ah, this was the one I forgot to put a stud into. Or maybe it was the other one. Either way, I have a bag full of studs. As long as I populate all 8 of them, that's all that matters. Oh, almost missed one. That up here I didn't screw in. I guess back here. All relative. So like I said, I did do a polishing attempt on this shell piece. And I mean, again, it doesn't look better. But it is uniform. Like, if I remember correctly, like, the damage down here was very apparent. Or maybe it was up here, I don't even remember. Like, it was just, like, very apparent. But now it's a little more even. It scratched the hell. I mean, I took sandpaper to it, so that'll do it. But it looks a little more uniform. And it's a little hard to sort of relay off of a camera image, but if I looked at this, I'd go like, oh yeah, okay, it's damaged, but it's not egregious. And that's kind of the point I was getting towards. Is that if it's like, ugh, that's kind of gross, kind of damaged, that's one thing, but just a little bit of crap. There we go. A little bit of polishing compound here on the edge, but I wiped it off. Thought I rinsed it all off, but it looks like I missed a spot. And there is some damage on these fins, but it looks okay. I'd be hard-pressed to believe that there's, like, good shape, glossy shelled Xboxes out there in the world anymore. Especially at the price point that I'm buying these at. Alright, let me just get the little clip on. So there's a little clip that goes in. My poor camera is not meant for these giant Xboxes. But there's this little clip piece that serves as the sync button back plate so that you can actually press the sync button. Clips in, and then the shell vent piece, which needs another cleaning pass. Let's see if I'll grab another one. I mean, none of the ones I have are in amazing shape. Or at least the ones that I have that are cleaned. I think this one was the best out of the ones I had. Just a little bit of TLC might save it. Yeah, I think that looks good. And that just clips in right there. And voila! I got an Xbox. Ready to face the world. So I need to print off my notes, stick it on, and wait until I can get video games to stress test it with. I'm thinking Gears 5 and Madden 20, I think, are going to be the best games I can sort of set and forget. Looking forward to that.